on cue.
Hold on, let me mute. Okay, go for it.
On this week's episode, did Hobbs and Shaw perform up to expectations? It's a resurgence of GTA 5 and Minecraft. And how does Josh feel about Marvel's Phase 4? All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great programs. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. He is our Vin Diesel of Pop Culture Cosmos. You got to check out everything that's going on today when it comes to popculturecosmos.com, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com, and also Pop Culture Cosmos on all the various social media outlets, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and so much more. It is my good friend. It is the author himself, Josh Peterson. How are book sales going, my friend?
Not as well as I'd like, actually. I've sold a lot less than I thought I have, so I got to get back on the old promotion wagon here.
Absolutely, my friend. And if there's anything that we can do to help, please let us know. Once again, it is Congratulations, You Suck. It is a stirring story indeed. And if you get a chance, check it out. Again, it's available on all different platforms, including Amazon, also as well Barnes & Noble, and so much more. Again, it's Congratulations, You Suck. I really hope you give it a chance. Once again, it's available on all online book outlets. And you know what? If there's a better response to it, and if there is a good response to it, he actually will be put out into hard copy, so everyone can go ahead and check it out when they're by the local Barnes and Nobles and whatnot. But it has to be more interest into it. In fact, I've seen the Kindle versions as low as $3. So if you've got $3 and you love your Kindle, you know what? Go ahead, download it right there for you. It is Congratulations, You Suck. You'll be glad you got ahead. You'll be glad you went ahead and gone and helped Josh out, not only with help him out as an inspiring author, but also you get a chance to read a great story as well. But it is but speaking of great, it's an awesome episode we've got for you coming up today. We're going to be talking Hobbs and Shaw, also as well some Madden, because that just came out, Roblox, GTA 5 and Minecraft, No Man's Sky. We've also got a review later on that I did on Lucid Sound LS41 7.1 DTS surround sound headphones. And Josh and I are going to talk about a little bit. I have some questions I've thrown at him because when it comes to Marvel's Phase 4, he didn't get a chance very much to express his thoughts on it because he was out looking for Bigfoot in the Pacific Northwest at the time all that good stuff was announced at Hall H at the San Diego Comic-Con. So I will run by some questions at him and see what he answers when it comes to Marvel's Phase 4 and beyond. But first, my friend, Hobbs and Shaw did debut this weekend at the theaters. And wouldn't you know, for once, the prognosticators are right on the money. People thought it was going to do $60 million at about $60 million domestically at $180 million worldwide. Guess what? $60 million domestically and $180 million worldwide. Mind you, it still hasn't made close back yet to the budget of $200 million, but still, it's a pretty good sign for the month of August, which we talked about being a slow period. Kids are going back to school, going to be some dead time when it comes to people not going to the movies. So this is somewhat of an encouraging sign for the Fast and Furious franchise if they decide to continue to go down that realm. Plus, I heard also as well that there's some celebrities, well-known celebrities that make performances in there that, in case of one of them, could lead the franchise even further.
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to go and check it out yet, but from what I understand, people are really enjoying it, and it's exactly what people thought it would be, which is something we talked about, is a strong side of this franchise. But yeah, I'm excited, man. You have any plans to go see it?
I am going to try to. Actually, we were really trying hard to get a chance to see it this weekend, but unfortunately could not quite get there. But we will be trying to make an effort to go see it this week. But yes, there are some. But yes, there are some performances in there that are a surprise of individuals that are very well known that are in there that help move the plot forward. So we'll have to wait and see all the good stuff that's there. But yes, the word is decent. Popcorn flick, nothing more, nothing less. If you want to go ahead and enjoy pretty much what will be considered the last decent or big hit of the summer, hey, check out Hobbs and Shaw. It's done as expected, and hopefully it will continue the line of Fast and Furious. But again, Fast and Furious 9, as we said on our previous program, is filming now. It's going to be coming out. It's scheduled to come out next year. It is something that still is going to be the main part of the Fast and Furious franchise. But seeing how this weekend has played out for Hobbs and Shaw, do you see more attempts into, I guess, side stories, spinoffs of the Fast and Furious franchise? Because in the past, the only thing we've ever seen are little DVD shorts or short films within that, that only help a little bit of the narrative as far as the trying to make the timeline even a little bit more cohesive, which unfortunately in a lot of cases it's not when it comes to Fast and Furious. But they've tried little short films and whatnot, try to piece these things together like Marvel has with some of their shorts earlier in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But will this lead to a larger effort with other characters or a return of Hobbs and Shaw to another sequel for that spinoff? Do you see more spinoffs in the Fast and Furious franchise at this point in time?
I don't know, because there's not really a lot of characters outside of Vin Diesel, who's always featured in the mainline series, that would be interesting to me. Maybe Hans, but he was in Tokyo Drift and he died there. So I don't know how much, maybe another movie featuring him that could take place in Japan, but other than that, Hobbs and Shaw are really the only characters that are in. Hold on one second.
Seeing how fast I can blink.
Sorry, dog was drinking water again. But yeah, outside of Han, there's not really anyone that's that interesting. Like Paul Walker, maybe, but we can't do anything with him anymore, or they can't. So I don't know. I could see them possibly making another Hobbs and Shaw spinoff movie, where I'd love to see a spinoff movie featuring Shaw and Vin Diesel. Maybe that could be cool. But I don't see any other characters venturing outside of the main series.
And that's a shame if that's the case, because it's something that could have potential if done, I guess, with a better, more economical budget in mind. I mean, they don't really have to go all out $200 million, because I think that sets it up for a very hard draw when it comes to having a spinoff that's not expected to do as well as the main franchise movies have a similar budget, and you're expecting to have that kind of returns. But unfortunately, when it comes to Hobbs and Shaw, you're not going to have that type of draw that you would with a normal Fast and Furious franchise movie, because especially overseas. In fact, the last two movies in the Fast and Furious franchise series before Hobbs and Shaw, which you're using as a spinoff here, they garnered over $1 billion each on the overseas market, much less whatever they did in the domestic side. So those movies play very well overseas. This one is going to probably do something very good, but not close to what the Fast and Furious franchise films are doing. So if you can try and keep them under maybe 150, maybe even 125, even closer to $100 million on the production budget on the next one, if you try to do another spinoff, you're actually going to get a very nice return if you continue the spinoffs, because a lot of people, like I said, the reviews are mixed. But for the people that are out there watching it, they're just treating it as good popcorn fun. They like the banter back and forth between Hobbs and Shaw, aka The Rock and Jason Statham. Vanessa Kirby is getting lauded with a great, with a lot of great things said about a lot of great things said about her character. Idris Elba, we've gone on this show how much we appreciate his work. Again, he's playing the big baddie, so I'm not sure exactly if it's utilizing his talents to the fullest in this sense, because I really love to see him in that a bigger a role with a larger scope per se. But you know what? I'm sure he didn't mind the paycheck in this case. So you know what? For him, it's another good opportunity. But we like to see him a little bit, at even a higher level than I think than he's at now, because I think superstardom is still there for him if you can go ahead and grab that right role. But for now, it is Hobbs and Shaw. It is still something I think a lot of people are going to go to just before school starts. We're going to try to make it to over the next few days. And if you have if you have thoughts on the film, because I know a lot of people have seen it already, share us your thoughts. Did you like the cameos and the surprise performances that were in there? Because there's two very notable ones in there. I don't want to say right now because of spoilers, but did you like the surprise performances? Do you like the banter back and forth between Hobbs and Shaw? Did you like anything else about it? Or was it just a great popcorn flick? Or did you even like it at all? Please share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos at Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. My friend, you know it's that time of year. It's early August. Comes around every point in time around this time of year when it comes to the video game scene. And yes, we could be talking about Evo. There was a lot of great matches that we saw over the weekend. On our Game Source Facebook page, we linked up to the Evo Twitter account so you could catch all the action there. Some great performances there, and my compliments to everybody who participated in the event, and of course the winners most of all. But my friend, in the world of video games, not much was said really about Madden this time around, because Madden debuted last week initially to EA Access owners and then is getting rolled out to everyone else. But it really didn't generate the buzz. I really didn't see any commercials. I really didn't see much in the way of internet ads. The only real buzz about it was the fact that, as usual, every year there are certain football players who are very unhappy with their Madden rating, and they started moaning and groaning about that. But we really didn't get that kind of Madden feel as of yet. And even with all the even as preseason football is starting, we're still not seeing as many commercials, not seeing as much pub. And I don't want to say is Madden on the way out or is Madden dying, but the Madden mystique, is that fading a little bit in your eyes? Is that fading a little bit with your friends? Is that something a lot of people still are interested in? Did the unfortunate events of last year, did that cause maybe you think some backlash as far as Madden is concerned? I want to hear your thoughts, man, because no one can tell me here this year that Madden has got as much hype as last year or any year before it.
I don't think it has anything to do with what happened last year, but it's one of those games, like we've talked about this before, and the same thing we discussed this about Call of Duty as well, is the fact that these games don't change. Nothing really. They added a career mode into it last time that kind of takes you through the story of a main character, but these games are growing stagnant, and I think that's why people won't buy them. And I also think that EA has a big part to play in this, as their reputation keeps getting dragged through the mud. I don't think that people are as willing to jump into those types of games as they are, say, something that like 2K makes. So, Madden has owned they put, what was it, like NFL, what are those, Blitz and NFL? There's a whole bunch of other ones that they bought out and they put out of business, and now they're the only ones. And I think that people are just kind of getting burnt out on those games.
Absolutely, because we've talked about it before. The last great football game that wasn't Madden was NFL 2K5, if I'm not mistaken, if my memory serves correct. I know a lot of people were lauding a certain version of NFL 2K that had the first person mode into it. A lot of people just loved it. I remember at the store that I was running, the video game store that I was running, that a lot of people were just lauding how great it was, and that it was a true contender to Madden at the time. But unfortunately 2K just didn't stick it out, because I think it was rights issues with the NFL, and Madden bought exclusivity, and the EA paid the cashola and all that and finished that off real quick. But you're right, with NFL Blitz, that could have been something that a lot of people like as well. I know a lot of people are talking about at least asking for NFL Blitz being something that Arcade One Up might want to choose in the future. But again, you still have those same issues when it concerns rights and fees and all
There's
that.
NFL Fever. That was the one I was trying to think of.
NFL Fever. I remember that was the one with Microsoft. Was that not correct?
Yeah, that was the one on the Xbox. And that one was actually really fun because you could design your own plays, create your own characters. And that was something Madden didn't start doing until after they bought out whatever game I just said. What did I say?
Well, it wasn't 2K, but they might have bought interest in the studio.
Yeah, Fever. Yeah.
Yeah, but also we got to remember as well when it comes to the 2K, again, it was I think a rights issue, and EA got exclusive rights at some point in time to the NFL PA and the NFL rosters and all that. Once that happened, I think that took 2K right out of the picture on that. So, it just, to me, it just seems like Madden at this point in time does not have the mystique or does not have the panache or the interest level I think that a lot of people used to have for it. I know it's like Call of Duty at some point in time with certain fans that will buy the updated rosters year after year or whatever small adjustments that are made and tweaks that they seem to do with with every single update, whether they do each and every year. But wouldn't it be better for the gamer if they just had one basic version and then they would just go ahead and make updates on the fly, like GTA, like even No Man's Sky, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit, and other games that, Destiny 2 and all that we're seeing that are 2, 3, 4, 5 years old that are just making updates that are keeping the game just as fresh.
Yeah, you'd think, and I'm pretty sure that's the mentality of a lot of people who play these sports games. Is the fact that, especially with character creators, they can create characters to match the stats of newer players, or go online and see what other people have done and kind of update their teams as they go along. But let me ask you this: as someone who doesn't play a lot of sports games, what would it take to get you to play something like that?
I think it would probably take, okay. I talked about on last week's show, as far as the PCC multiverse, I talked about NBA 2K and me still enjoying the NBA 2K experience despite the numerous microtransactions there is. Now, Madden has its share of microtransactions, but it's really only centered around one mode. So you don't really have to go into that mode and really be a part of it if you don't want to go ahead into microtransactions and all that. What would probably immerse me into it, as far as if I knew that if I just spent $60 or a certain amount of money and I was just going to go ahead and get updates and roster updates and like you said before, play updates, or maybe a little bit more customization options that I'm given as an owner, and be able to go ahead and enjoy that for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, instead of thinking, okay, I just bought Madden a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and it's already half off in value because of it. Because you and I both know sports games devalue faster than any games in the video game industry.
Yeah, because there's not real. I don't know. So I'm not entirely sure how many copies of Madden sell each season, but it's one of those things where you play it and you beat it, and then there's not really any reason to play it anymore, because I don't know what the online community is like, but I don't hear a lot of people bragging about, oh, I play Madden online with my friends. It's at least not in like the same vein of what Call of Duty might be.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with you on that, but there's still a community out there for it. I see it, and I still see the competitions around. And I think that some people might be scared off after the unfortunate events of one of the Madden tournaments that happened last year, which was very tragic and is still thought about even to this day by gamers and Madden players alike. But still, I think for whatever reason, the Madden mystique is fading. And I think that EA needs to go to the drawing board and understand why or what is going on when it comes to Madden, and maybe reevaluate where the Madden series is at, so they could go ahead and produce something that is of quality, that will last, and to give players a concrete addition that they can enjoy for years to come, as opposed to months, weeks, or even days to come, because it doesn't make any sense at all for these days, because people are just going to have to spend $60 here, $60 next year, $60 year after that, if you're a real diehard football or Madden fan. And if that's the case, a lot of players I've hear and I've seen, they actually go to older versions and just either try to update the rosters somehow through that, or just go ahead with the rosters that are there and just play a certain older version of that, and just go with that, because they're tired of going ahead and redoing and re-upping each Madden each and every year, because it's just so hard to go ahead and continually put out $60 each and every time for this game, when there's so many other games that go ahead and for that same amount of money update and keep the experience going for years to come. But I'll tell you what, it is Madden. There's still interest, of course, on it. And as the season continues on NFL, you're going to see more and more ads on it. I was just surprised, like I said, Josh, that I didn't see as much in the way of advertising or promotion for it leading up to the August release, or actually even, as the start of the preseason happens. I'm not seeing much at all. So I'm kind of intrigued as far as what's going on with EA and Madden as the series goes into, well over 20 plus years now. And we're just going into a series where, it's just something that a lot of people expect this time of the year, but are really less and less people are actually really getting into it. So that's a shame, because I remember the times at the video game store, again, where I had over I was actually chewed out one time for only having close to 400 pre-orders on Madden. So, because it wasn't enough. And I told them, and when I told them that I had more FIFA pre-orders than that, I was just not an excuse. So I'm sorry, wrong football, I guess.
Do you think that people are just losing interest in football as like an entire sport? Because I mean, there was a lot of controversy in the NFL over the taking a knee thing, but like I'm seeing bills being passed here in California where they're trying to limit the amount of time that people are allowed to practice football, just in general. So I'm wondering, like, if
because
there's
of head injuries and things of that nature.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if there's a decline in interest in the sport, or if people are trying to get rid of it, or what's going on. I know the NFL is a huge industry, but I don't know. Maybe people just aren't as interested in it as they used to be.
Well, ratings and attendance were down last year as opposed to the year before. I think if this year will be a telling sign if it's actually going on the downhill for good, or for at least a while, or if it's just an ebb and flow, which you will see from time to time when it comes to pro sports, depending on who is on top. If there's a sexy team or a sexy, or if there's a star player that gets everybody going, that gets everybody interested in talking around the water cooler, then you'll see an uptick in volume of attendance and things of that nature. Like, for instance, in the NBA, the year before, NBA was really doing great as far as the ratings are concerned. But since not as many people are as fond, at least to here in the United States, of the Toronto Raptors, they were less likely to see it, and the ratings went down for the finals there. So it's a give and take, I think, in an ebb and flow for many of the sports. But we'll have to wait and see what the end result of attendance and ratings, if it will continue to decline this year. I think we'll see if you're right about in that hunch, that's going to happen as it plays out over the course of the next few months in the NFL. But Madden, you know what? Madness, it's there. It came out. I'm just not seeing the interest in it like I have in the past. If you're still very interested in Madden and a Madden follower, we'd love to hear from you why you're still sticking to it. And if you see that type of interest, or if you're like us and you see a declining, I don't want to say, or if you see a declining, knowledge or a cultural awareness that Madden is out and about in the wild, please let us know, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, before we continue our conversation, I got to ask you, my friend, are you familiar with Roblox?
I've seen it played briefly. I know my nephew's a big fan.
Well, I will tell you this. My daughter plays it religiously. My youngest daughter does. And it is something that, it's been there for a long time. It actually came out even before Minecraft, if I remember correctly. And you know what? It's just been under the radar for all these years. Literally no one above the age of, I guess, teenage years and older seems to talk about it, but all the younger kids play it, early adolescence, or, even up to the 11, 12, 13 years of age type deal. But mostly it's between like the ages of 5 and 11 and 12. And I'll tell you what, it's gone way under the radar. It's something that before my daughter and for my daughters, actually, both of them got really into it at one point in time or another. It was something that went way under the radar with me, but all of a sudden I start seeing merchandising as of late, out and about in the wild. You go to Walmart, Target, whatnot, and you start to see a little bit of merchandising there. You start seeing a little bit of interest, start hearing families talking about it a little bit more. You start going to your schools and whatnot, and you see the scuttlebutt as far as the parents talking to kids about Roblox. And you know what? Next thing you know, after all these years, you finally see the results of what all that underground talk is and what all that, all those things aside. If I told you right now that Roblox just went over 100 million concurrent users, would that blow your mind?
Not really. I mean, yeah, but I also I know that people have been clamoring for another Minecraft to play for quite some time, and I wonder if too a lot of these Roblox players are people who are getting tired of Fortnite as well.
That's true, and that's something I wanted to talk about when it concerns Roblox and the resurgence of GTA 5 and Minecraft, and also even an interest in No Man's Sky, because when it comes to Roblox hitting 100 concurrent users, when we talk about GTA 5 after 6 years, coming out with a brand new DLC with a brand new content that in the form of that's a free casino update that is just everybody's going crazy over, and Minecraft is now gotten a resurgence of their own in store. I think a lot of it is from the fact that Fortnite, and we talked about this also on last week's PCZ Multiverse, that we weren't seeing the kind of large capacity crowds that were interested before into Fortnite as they were this time last year. The numbers, as best we could tell from all the different outlets that are trying to cover it, are saying that it's down. And I think those individuals that are leaving Fortnite are going into or going back to or into other ventures, and Roblox, GTA 5, Minecraft, and even an updating No Man's Sky, which even after all the years and all the failures that it's gone through, is updating again with a massive multiplayer and VR update. You know what, my friend? Now's the opportunity to get into some of these old games, and it looks like a lot of people are, and it's affecting games like Fortnite a lot.
Yeah, well, we knew that was kind of just a matter of time until that happened, but Fortnite can't stay on top forever. No, they're going on to season 10, and they're not really offering new content outside of new skins, so we kind of knew that was going to happen eventually. But good. It's like I want to see people playing other games besides Fortnite, because I want to see the esports scene take off with other games besides Fortnite. So it's kind of cool to see new things popping up. And I know what did they put? No, that's Ark. Yeah, man, I don't know. Is No Man's Sky on the Switch?
No Man's Sky, as of this point, isn't on the Switch, to my best recollection. It has moved off the PlayStation exclusivity, I believe, and it has gone on to other platforms. I think it's available on PC. I'm not sure if it's available on Xbox One. I can check into that, but yeah, it is moved on from that PlayStation 4 exclusivity. I know a lot of people were asking about that. So, and like I said, they've got a lot. They got a lot of flack for the way that they, so many things that they promised at the beginning of the game's development, and so many things that were not delivered. And you know what? It is now on Xbox One. It's now on PlayStation 4, and it's now on PC, and it is, doing something now after all these years that's just making it more palpable. I think a lot of people are actually getting into it now for the first time, because there was a big update last year, but there's an even larger update this year that's finally seeing the realization of all those promises that they gave solo at E3 so many years ago.
Yeah, it's nice to see that happening too, because Sony really backed them. If I remember when that first came out, so that was supposed to be like their golden goose, and then it didn't end up delivering on that. But it's one of those games again where it's like it's not perfect at launch, but as they get feedback, they're able to keep adding on to it and developing it as they go. And would you go as far as to say that this is the future of gaming, is to have things like this happen? A game comes out, it tanks like Anthem, but then they eventually start working on it until it becomes something great.
I agree with you. That might be the case, and that might be par for the course, which in a lot of ways is very disheartening. Like you've talked about before, it's almost like having a game in early access be your game that's released, and then, okay, we'll fix it down the line, and hopefully you'll come back to it, or hopefully you'll get into it maybe a year, 2 years down the line once we get all the bugs straight. But for a lot of people, depending on the game, I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, Destiny 2 did not meet expectations, but they're still updating it. In fact, they had a very good update their last time around, but a lot of people still aren't getting into it because they have a lot of bad feelings in regards to Destiny 2. And the same thing could go for Anthem. I don't know why No Man's Sky is getting such a resurgence, even after all the bad publicity early on that they got, and all the good publicity now that they're getting because of all the add-ons that they've done since then. But you know what? You could get No Man's Sky on the cheap, so I bet that's probably why. If Anthem goes on the cheap like Fallout 76 does, and Fallout 76 from Bethesda is trying very hard to do that same type of thing and salvage any type of success that there could be for those games, you know what? We could see that as a model down the line for every single poor reviewed or poorly received AAA game down the road. I think that's probably the best way to say it, is because Anthem, Fallout 76, No Man's Sky, and all these other big AAA games that don't come out and meet expectations could be following the same suit down the road. And that, to me, is a shame in a way, because these games are going to come out unfinished right out the get-go.
Yeah, and that brings up two issues also, is the fact that your people who are paying $60, $40 to $60 to play these games are essentially becoming beta testers. And two, it's going to change the way that the review landscape works, because you could have a game come out at launch and then 6 months later it's a completely different game, but with the same title.
That's right, my friend. So we'll have to wait and see how this is going to play out as far as those games that were not well received upon the get-go, how they're going to go ahead and continue to try to make it a better product each and every time. And that's good that they still have that staying power and stick-to-itiveness, that they're going to go ahead and do that. But I don't want this to be something that, okay, we have a game that's shaky, that might not be received well at start, but we'll go ahead and make updates to it. I don't want these studios to feel like that's a fallback. I want them to go ahead and try and make a good product right out of the gate. And hopefully in the future, we won't see many more occasions like Mass Effect Andromeda, Anthem, No Man's Sky, Destiny 2, where they're poorly received or they're poorly made upon their entry. And then right out of the, after they get right out of the gate, they got bad press, bad reviews. But you know what? They go ahead and make up for it 2-3 years down the line. I don't want that to be the norm. I just want that to be the exception. What are your thoughts out there on these bad games or these poorly reviewed games that find a new breath of life with updates that will do, updates that in many cases, like Destiny 2 and No Man's Sky, actually start to begin to meet all the expectations that was made in advance of their release? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Well, coming up after the break, we're going to be talking about Phase 4. I got some questions I want to ask Josh on his thoughts on Phase 4, plus also as well a review of Lucid Sound, the Lucid Sound LS41 surround sound headphones, and just a whole, all the great stuff that we talk about when it comes to pop culture right here on the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back with the program. It's the Pop Culture Cosmos. My friend, I want to ask you this when it comes to phase four, when you were in the Pacific Northwest and you were searching for all that good stuff that was going around as far as the Museum of Pop Culture, you were looking for Bigfoot, you were checking out all the 90s grunge music and deciding exactly who started it. I want to ask you, my friend, did you get a chance to check out in detail at that time what was going on at Hall H at San Diego Comic Con, or did you have to come home and get updated then?
I saw some of the news popping up as I was kind of sitting there looking at Instagram and stuff. I know they announced a few things, Disney Plus, the Disney streaming shows, and Blade and Shang-Chi. I know that those all have official announced dates, and people were curious about what's going on with Guardians 3 and Black Panther 2. But yes, I did get a chance to catch all that stuff.
Okay, so first question I want to ask you, my friend, looking at the whole scenario, and we're talking about the whole scenario when it comes to the whole timeline with the Marvel Cinematic Universe for Phase 4. And for those who have not heard it, which I'd be pretty surprised if you did, pretty surprised if you didn't hear it yet, but here goes. Black Widow is coming out May 1st of 2020. Then we've got The Falcon and Winter Soldier coming out in the fall of 2022, the Disney Plus streaming service. We've got the Eternals coming November 6th, I believe, 2020. Then we've got Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Ring and the Legend of the Ten Rings coming February 12th, 2021. We've got WandaVision and Loki coming the spring of 2021 to Disney Plus. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness coming on May 7th, 2021. We've got in the summer of 2021 the What If series. Hawkeye is coming out the fall of 2021, and it all heads up for Phase 4. Now, mind you, we're not including a Spider-Man 3 movie, which was most likely going to be somewhere in the 2021 range, but that's up to Sony to tell us when. November 5th, 2021 with Thor: Love and Thunder. Not counting what we know already for Phase 5, which will most likely have a Blade with Mahershala Ali, possibly a Fantastic Four, X-Men, obviously a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Black Panther 2, maybe another Ant-Man and the Wasp, that type of deal, which is going to be most likely make up most of Phase 5, not including another Avengers movie, of course. Your thoughts on Phase 4 as a whole, when you heard the listing of all the stuff that was out there coming to the plate for not only Disney Plus and also the movies, were you excited about Phase 4 upcoming in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
I'll be honest, I wasn't, man. I was discussing this with you earlier. I am really burnt out on Marvel right now. Like Endgame ended on such an emotional note, and I've been following those characters for so long. Yeah,
and you didn't like Spider-Man that much either.
It was okay. I would have liked it better had it been before Endgame, but I don't.
Funny, didn't I say those words as well?
Yeah, you did. There's so much happening right now, and I'm sure like in a year or so, not a year, but after sometime in 2021, around the time Thor comes out, I'll have rekindled my joy of the Marvel films. I'll have to go back and start watching things again. But there is so much. Look at this. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 things have been announced, and we know there's 2 more beyond that. It's so much, and they haven't really let the the aftermath of Endgame really sink in. I thought they were taking a year off, but I guess they're not. So it's too much, man. And I'm overloaded and I'm burnt out on it, and I have high hopes for these shows, but I'm probably not going to be watching them right away just because I need some time to want to go back to watch them.
Now there will be a 10-month time frame. You're talking about from the time that Spider-Man Far From Home debuted in theaters to the time when Black Widow debuts in theaters. There is going to be about 10 months, not quite the year that you were asking for, but almost. I mean, there is going to be a little bit of a break, so you can take a breather. And I think a lot of other people, a lot of casual audiences will be taking a breather and waiting for, before they go ahead in anticipation for the Black Widow movie. Now, I'm glad, like you are, that there is not going to be a spring or a winter this year or a spring next year type of movie that comes out for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that they're going to wait until, okay, it's still technically kind of like spring, but late, the May, which kicks off the summer movie season next year for Black Widow. I'm kind of glad that they're giving at least 10 months, which will give a kind of break. I know it's not the break that you need. You maybe need a little bit more, but still, 10 months isn't that bad. I mean, at least it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, you look at these; they're not just movies anymore. So you have a few movies coming up on this timeline here, but a lot of these shows, like, you're going to have to watch several hours of them to get through it, and that's what feels overwhelming to me, is the fact that I can't just go to the movies and watch a 2 to 3 hour movie anymore. I have to sit at home
and watch a 6-episode type deal.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just that; it's the fact that I have to sit there and watch all these episodes so that I can stay up to date on, whatever happens in the Eternals, or what happens in Shang-Chi, or whatever happens in Doctor Strange. Like, I have to sit there and watch these shows now so that I can stay connected to the greater Marvel timeline.
Now, is there any one property you could get excited for, or you think, you know what, if I get that re-energizing over and I get over the burnout of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is there one project that sticks out to you that, makes you say, hey, I kind of, want to see if I can target that once again?
Well, Shang-Chi is definitely on that list. I'm a huge fan of Iron Fist, and I'm curious how that's going to fit in to that. Because Iron Fist is obviously a huge part of Shang-Chi's legacy, but and I would go on to say, like, another one would be Doctor Strange, but again, I have to, from what it sounds like, I have to go back and watch WandaVision before I watch Doctor Strange. There's Thor: Love and Thunder looks cool, or sounds cool, and then Blade is the one that has me worried, because Blade is a very dark, very violent property in all forms that it's ever been made. Even on the 1990s Spider-Man cartoon that was on, Blade was a very dark character, and I don't see that Blade working well on the PG-13 happy-go-lucky Disney Marvel side of things.
Well, that movie, they still have some time to go ahead and shape that, because it is not coming out until Phase 5. I would probably say, since Mahershala Ali was just announced, but they don't have a director, script, screenplay that they've announced for it yet, I would probably say you're still looking at 2022, 2023, maybe late 2022 at the earliest, as far as before you would get a Blade movie, maybe even longer, because GOTG, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, that's just waiting for James Gunn to finish Suicide Squad, and once he finishes that, he'll jump right into that. I'm sure, like I said before, another Ant-Man and the Wasp could be in the offering. Of course, we're going to get another Black Panther. Of course, we're also going to get another Captain Marvel, for goodness sake. So all those success stories we're going to get sequels of, they can go ahead and do ahead of, while they think of a good story or a good way to go ahead and try and market and package Blade, because you're right. The first Blade was truly a very, very good film. In fact, it's the best non-Marvel superhero film that they have as far as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, away from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I hear you on that. I think they're going to have to go ahead and treat that properly and be very careful where they tread when it concerns the Blade universe and the Blade character. I think they can get away with it. I still think they can do it, but they're going to have to be very careful about how they go about it. I am very happy that you said about Shang-Chi, because you and I have spoke at length before about how this type of movie environment needs a really good kung fu movie again. And I'm so hopeful that Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings will fit the bill. That is one of the two I'm excited for the most, along with Black Widow, which I think is way overdue. And I'm hopeful that a lot of people will still go see it, even though we already know what's going to happen to her character, even though we know that's the prequel. We don't know how it exactly ties into the larger scheme of things, but I'm hoping that we will get a chance to really delve into the character of Black Widow even more when it comes out in May. So those two I'm really excited for. Are there any one properties that you feel is really just not interesting in you at all? Maybe it's the What If, or maybe the Loki series, because Loki has been such a great character, but it seems like his character has already been too played out.
Yeah, I mean, I could. I don't really have like WandaVision. I'm not really interested in. Loki is one. What If? Hawkeye, I could take it or leave it. There's just a lot of the stuff that I don't have a lot of interest in. It seems to be the Disney Plus stuff, and I that's going to be one of those things where I feel like in the same way I force myself to sit down and watch like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. That's how these shows are going to be for me.
And that's the thing right now. We talked about Disney Plus before. This is how they're going to draw you in. Does that mean you're going to be more interested in, if you do become a Disney Plus subscriber, more interested in The Mandalorian and seeing what's on the Star Wars realm? Because you said you were burnt out on the Star Wars franchise as well.
Well, I feel like Disney took all this stuff that I once loved, and now they have beaten it to death with, Marvel not so much, but with Star Wars, like bad storylines, and Marvel is well on its way to possibly making bad storylines. I don't know. I haven't seen any of this stuff yet, so I can't really judge how it's going to be. But at the moment, I can say that I'm just like, I need a break. I need some original cinema. Like, I need something good to kind of cleanse the palate before I go back to this. But what on the Marvel side are you looking forward to?
Well, like I said, Black Widow really interests me. And I've told you before hundreds of times that, my girls, myself, we're really into Black Widow. We really appreciate it. We really enjoyed her character or her character arc over the course of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're glad we're finally getting to see that. I mean, this goes back to the early days of our show, my friend, where I've told you we needed a Black Widow movie. We need a Black Widow movie, and they're finally doing it. Is it too late? We're going to have to wait and see what the audience reception is like, because I think that's going to be the big question that comes out this time next year, that comes out in May of next year when that movie comes out. Is it a little bit too late for her character to succeed on something like a prequel when you already know what her character ends up as in Avengers Endgame? I'm hoping not. I'm still excited to see what's going on with her character. I'm hopeful that a lot of other people will as well, and that everybody will start getting the Marvel bug once again when Black Widow comes out in May. The one I'm really kind of worried about is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And not the fact that it's going to go ahead and delve into weird stuff and whatnot, but the fact is that's your May movie, which is supposed to be your big earner for the year, but yet they're already touting it as a Marvel horror movie. Now, as we're going to talk about on the Friday show, when it comes to Guillermo del Toro's latest Scary Stories That You Tell in the Dark, how are you going to be able to translate a horror movie into a PG-13 platform and be something that's effective, that not only is a horror, but also a great telling of a superhero story as well?
Can Marvel go horror sticking to Disney's guidelines though for what they are and aren't allowed to do? That's what I've been thinking about. But obviously with Doctor Strange and Wanda, Scarlet Witch is in this movie. It's going to be tough. I don't see it really. I see it maybe being something that's like shocking or surprising, but I don't see them. It has to be something for families, right? So families need to be able to go to see this movie. I don't see them pulling off a horror movie in the way that we would think a horror movie would be. Maybe Guillermo del Toro can do something like that, much like he did with Hellboy 2 and the Golden Army, because that still had like its horror aspects, but it had its magic, I guess you could say. So I don't know. It would have to be very well executed, but the idea of a multiverse of madness, it sounds really cool. I'm worried about how it's going to be executed.
As am I, my friend, as am I. And I know in the weeks and months leading up to it, we're going to be talking about that as well, and how the WandaVision series and the Scarlet Witch, who is going to play a major part in both the WandaVision and also as well Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness movie, how she's going to be an integral character in both, how that's going to play out. I know in the weeks and months to come, as far as that series and that movie, we're going to be talking about that as well. If you have any thoughts on Phase 4, just like Josh and I, you want to, ask us a question on it, bounce our thoughts off it, let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanity Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. When we come back, we're going to come back with a review that I did of the Lucid Sound LS41. If you want to hear how it sounds, it's coming up right after the break. If you want to hear how it sounds and what I thought of the headphones, it's coming up right after the break. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And you want to hear what also as well, we're going to be talking about Thor, Love and Thunder, and also the rest of Phase 5, how that could be played out as well. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back with the Pop Culture Cosmos. Want to again thank everybody for listening. If you need a listing of where we're at, because we're being played 7 days a week all around the world, check us out on Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, and you get a listing right there of all of our great radio stations, including the folks at the Good Talk radio station. They play our shows back to back on Sunday nights. They're just an awesome station based out of Arizona, and we cannot thank them enough for playing our show. So if you want to check out them, check out their awesome radio station for all the other great stuff that they have as well. Check them out today. That's the Good Talk radio station. And hopefully you'll be glad you did and checked out all their great stuff, including the Pop Culture Cosmos and the PCC Multiverse. My friend, just a couple big updates, and I'll hand it over to you as far as your book is concerned. I want to also give everybody a shout out. If you need anyone else, and I also want to give a shout out if you need a listing of where we're at as far as if you need a place to go for as far as podcasting is concerned. You know what? We're also on Radio Public. If you just type in Pop Culture Cosmos on Radio Public, you'll get our stations right there for you. You just go ahead and check it out on one of our channels right there on Radio Public. You'll get all of our latest episodes there as well. And last but not least, for those great Anchor listeners out there, not only do they have the 1 hour radio edit show on our Anchor on Anchor.fm, but we just added a PCC Extra channel, which will have all of our extra shows that have been exclusive to the Pop Culture Cosmos channel on Podbean and all of its other outlets. That is now going to be available on its own channel on Anchor.fm, the PCC Extra. So you'll be able to get all those old episodes that were only exclusive to the Podbean channel and so many other great programs as well. My friend, before we talk Marvel one last time, I want to hear your thoughts on your latest book, Congratulations, You Suck. Where can you get it, and why do you need to check out Congratulations, You Suck?
You can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, BookLocker.com, and all those great places. Yeah, please just, I don't have a big sales pitch prepared, but yeah, check it out. I spent a lot of time working on it, and I'd be greatly appreciative. I've gotten some feedback already and love to hear what you guys think. Pick up a copy today, physical or ebook, and let me know.
No book burnings, I hope, Brian.
No what?
Book burnings?
No book burnings. Yeah, no book burnings. Don't burn my book, please. But you can still buy it.
Okay. When you're burning a Kindle, that's when you know your story's bad. You just want to let you know. And then also ebook.
Oh, that was good. Zing.
Zing right there for you. Once again, that is Congratulations, You Suck. I'm still hoping to do the read over. If he wants to go ahead and go give out and do an audiobook, I'm first in line as far as trying to see if I can go ahead and screen test for it. It's coming up again. That's Congratulations, You Suck. It's now available in every online book outlet. Get it today, please, because it's a really good story, and I hope you get a chance to read it. All right, my friend, on the way out, I want to talk Thor, Love and Thunder and the rest of Phase 5, or what we think it might play out as. All right, Thor, Love and Thunder, your thoughts on, let's say Svelte Thor. Let's go with Svelte Thor. As far as the future, is he going to remain Svelte Thor the way he was at the end of the Avengers Endgame? Is this story going to continue on that fashion? We also heard that officially Valkyrie will be the king of Asgard and will be getting a queen in that movie. Plus also Jane Foster, aka Jane Foster's coming back, and she's going to be female Thor. So your thoughts on all the stuff going on with Taika Waititi coming up again as director for Thor: Love and Thunder?
I haven't heard any of the stuff about Valkyrie.
Yeah, Valkyrie is going to be the king of Asgard, and she has noted that she is going to get a queen at some point in time during the film.
So is that like a LBGQT type thing?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. They have Marvel said that she is coming out as that character.
Oh, well, that's interesting. I trust Taika Waititi to do his thing. My hope that this isn't them writing Chris Hemsworth off, because he will always be Thor in my book, and I just hope that that's not them making an attempt to get rid of him. I hope that I hope the movie is a Thor movie. That's what I want. I like the idea of Lady Thor, Jane Foster becoming Thor. I hope that it's done well, but as we talked about with Ragnarok, it was a great movie, really funny, but it didn't have enough serious moments to really take the movie seriously. And I just hope that Thor: Love and Thunder kind of walks a different path and blends those elements a little better than what Ragnarok did.
What are your thoughts about? Hold on. Sorry. Hold on. Water's too strong for me. What are your thoughts about Natalie Portman coming back after she and Marvel didn't exactly have a love fest after Thor: The Dark World?
She probably got paid a lot of money to come back, because Jane Foster in the comic books is Thor. And one thing I admire about Marvel is how they stand behind their continuity, and that was probably really important to them to have her come back. Or maybe it was the director and the direction that the Thor franchise went with Taika Waititi behind the wheel. Maybe that's what kind of pulled her back into it, because she's one of those actresses now that has grown so big, and she likes working with big name directors, and maybe Taika Waititi was able to entice her back into the role.
I'm still excited for, man. It's Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm, with the humor that Taika Waititi, just exemplified throughout Thor: Ragnarok, which is still, even though it's not exactly the most perfect of films, it's still a very amusing, very funny film, very entertaining. It's something that, if it does come on the TV, we're going to all sit down and watch it, because it's just so entertaining. I just have every confidence that he's going to do that again. And now that he's going to have Natalie Portman playing, at some time, earning the title of Thor and getting the Mjolnir hammer and all that. It just seems like how it's going to play in. Maybe we're going to play to her comedic side, which has not really been utilized very often. So it'll be interesting to see her comedic side, if that plays out very well. And then where does Svelte Thor go as far as his character? You're right. I hope this isn't the end of Chris Hemsworth line when it comes to Thor and the Thor character with Thor and Love and Thunder. I hope he doesn't say adieu and adios to that character, because it would be very disheartening if that was the case. And you and I have both discussed this before. He's not been very successful outside the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so it may not be in his best financial interest as well.
He shouldn't pigeonhole himself into only Marvel films. I'm sure there's something out there for him that could take off, like the Crocodile Dundee thing, right? Everyone's really excited about the possibility of that being a thing. But
Hulk Hogan, man, not Hulk Hogan.
Well, Hulk Hogan is pretty irrelevant these days. But I don't know. I don't want to see him get written off, because it feels, if they're doing all this, like the social stuff in this movie, which is fine, it's cool. I just don't want that to be like a platform for them kicking Thor off of his own franchise, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're right, and that they would continue the Thor name without the original Thor. It seems kind of weird, and I'm not sure everybody would be very enthused by it. Although a lot of people are jacked up over Natalie Portman and playing the role of Thor at some point in time, and them being dual Thors. That would be cool. I could hang with that. I would have no problems, no issues with that. But I certainly would not like to see Chris Hemsworth leave the series that he's now grown into and matured into, that has really started to become a fan favorite. And that's, his his current representation of Thor as it stands right now. So hopefully he'll be able to continue that long term, but we'll have to wait and see when Thor Love and Thunder comes out in November 2021. All right, last question before we head on out, my friend, and that is this. I want to ask you, Phase 5, we talked a little bit about Blade, and like I said, I don't think that would be the first movie out the get-go for Phase 5. I think they'll save that for either the end of the first year or at least the second year of the Phase 5 plate or the Phase 5 slate of films that would be coming out. And I do think Blade would become a film. We've talked about it before about the possibilities. What of Phase 5 would get you most interested as far as a fan is concerned? And do you think it is too soon, or do you think it's the right time to reintroduce the X-Men and the Fantastic Four?
Okay, so here's my thing with all this. Marvel has done a great job, working with Disney up to this point, but they're getting into some of the more fringe franchises, which are notoriously dark. And if they're not allowed to let these characters be dark and gritty as they are meant to be, I think it's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way and kind of cause a lot of fans of these lower franchises to lose interest in what they're doing. Like Blade is a perfect example. Like if it's Blade features a lot of decapitations, a lot of blood, a lot of gore, and if they do that in like a comedic PG-13 type situation, it's not going to be a good movie. They need to let these dark characters shine, so to speak, and be what they were meant to be, or else it's not going to work.
I agree with you, my friend. It's got to be the way it was in many ways. Now, Marvel has done a great job of deviating when it needs to away from the comic books, because the comic books that are in some of the stuff that's in there does not translate well on screen. And they've been very wise with many of the decisions that they've made that have deviated from the comic books. So I want to say that I've got my trust. I've got my hopes in Marvel right now, because I believe that they're going to do the right thing almost every time as far as the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe when it comes to Phase 4, Phase 5. I'm just going to keep, like I said, a keen eye on it. But I don't want them to play the comic books to a T, my friend, because I think if they stick to the comic books to a T, not everything translates well from the comic books onto the screen. I think there should be a little bit of difference there, and I'm glad when they do it. But I also want to make sure that they do stick somewhat to the comic book source as well. So,
sorry, hold on, dog's drinking again.
Got a thirsty dog. You should name this episode the Thirsty Dog episode.
Okay, so it's not so important to me that they adhere directly to the comic book storylines, but it's really important to me that they let these characters be what they were meant to be.
I agree with you, my friend. Definitely that's something that they should be wary of as they go ahead and build towards Phase 4 and also the future in Phase 5. Be excited to see what happens with that. And there's Disney D23 coming up later this month that I'm very excited to hopefully hear more info on stuff going on in Phase 4 of Marvel and also Phase 5 as well. Well, my friend, it has been a great episode. I want to thank you for stopping by. Tune in this Friday for PCC Multiverse, where we're going to have our fall gaming preview. We're gathering up all of our notes and information on all the games coming out this fall. We're going to be talking at length and detail on it. So hopefully you'll get a chance to tune in as well on that. Plus, we'll be talking about Guillermo del Toro's latest. And you never know, we might even talk about Dora as well. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.